Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame and Cinnamon Sugar. Y'all don't mind me if I think about it. I'm gonna take this down and braid it again while I'm in the middle of doing this because it looks a fool. I ain't gonna lie to you, it do. It looks a fool. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Let's get into what has been going on over the last couple of days. So work went. It was it was alright considering. Had to work with the side heifer, unfortunately. But the only thing that was the saving grace was that her cousin was back there. So she was the breaker, but whenever she came back from break, she would just keep walking. And I would see her out of the corner of my eye. And so I'd be like, yep, let me grab my stuff and go to break. Like, I'm just like, let me follow your lead and do how you do. Don't communicate, which I think is stupid. Because even if I were to go over there and say something to her and be like, hey, I'm going to break, she will ignore me. Like, she literally does this. I'd be like, I'm going to break. I'll look right in her eyes, right in her face. And she'll do just like this. Like, I just be like, what in the, y'all, I promise y'all, if y'all could be a fly on the wall to see the stupidity, I'd just be like, ma'am, this is so stupid. It don't make no sense. So I went on my first break and I just so happened to stop by the schedules and they have the schedules up leading up to Sunday. And y'all know Sunday is Mother's Day. My job don't care nothing about that. So they have most of us working, whether we have said, hey, we want to work or not. So they got us up there talking about we got to work. Y'all excuse all the gray hair because whoo, child, I know it look real. I know it look real rough. You can't even hardly see the parts. It look real rough up in there, and I'm gray. So I'm braid it back up and let it go for what it know. So anyway, y'all, I look at the schedule, and so I already knew I was gonna have to work Sunday anyway because my partner's not gonna be here, and he is above me. Okay, so the way it is now is that he's above me, but I'm basically right below him now because the other person, he got a job and they started training him immediately. Like less than 2, 3 weeks after he accepted it, they started training him. Like they are in desperate need of people right now. So I'm just like, wow, that's what we do. So we're short a person, so to speak. And then this other heifer, I'm just like the side heifer's partner. I'm just like, you ain't got no vacation like this. You're a 12-hour person. You work 12 hours. If you were one of the people who signed up and said, oh, I just want to work 12 hours a day for 3 days a week or whatever it is that they do, I think it's 3 days a week, you get less benefits. Like you get less time off. You get less vacation days and all this other stuff. And this is the second week in a row she done put in for vacation. And I'm like, unless she's leaving, I don't understand why she's doing this. And y'all, I keep forgetting to say it to y'all, but now I'm thinking of it because of how rough it look. My eyebrows gonna look rough for a while, right? Meaning I'm not gonna do nothing to them. I'm not gonna pluck them. Normally I pluck them and all that stuff or whatever, but I'm not gonna pluck them. I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm testing out a black-owned business's product, and one of the things on the list is for eyelashes and eyebrows. I'm not really concerned about my eyelashes. Like I don't care because I do have eyelashes. Let me show y'all. I have eyelashes. I ain't never had an issue with that. My eyelashes get lost in my eyes all day, every day. So part of me is like, should I even start trying on my eyelashes? Because I just want to see if this will thicken up like it was when I was a child. Because these were bushes. These were terrible. I'm talking about I had a unibrow until I started getting my eyebrows plucked and all that stuff by other people. And then I started doing it for myself. And then I had moments where I would be like, oh, I'm just going to treat myself and I'm going to go, hey, but $7 here or $7 or $10 or however many dollars there for somebody else to do it, to just snatch it off real quick. Oh yeah, and I've definitely waxed my own before. I can't do that no more because I hurt myself. One time for my birthday, I did it. And so I had ended up doing some kinky twists to my hair. I had the picture somewhere. If I can find it before I get this video to do what it needs to do, then I will post it so that y'all can see. But you can see like either on this eye or this eye, it looked like I burned myself, but it was just my skin was so sensitive that me pulling it off did the most. And it's almost like, I guess, rug burn. That's the feeling that I equated with, but it was terrible. It was huge. It was a mess. Whew, looked like I had been in a fight with somebody. I've never had domestic violence situations going on, which I am very shocked about, given the fact that my ex was very violent. Very violent. Like, he used to go around punching walls and stuff when he was a child and all this other stuff. Like, his mom could never get her security deposits back because of him. Like, he had anger issues, like, for real. And so, at first it was as if I was calming him down. And once his mom pointed that out, he was just like, oh, no, she ain't doing nothing. Blah, 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 blah. And so I was like, child, that is so stupid. Anyway, y'all, let me tell y'all about what's been going on. So, y'all, again, don't mind me. I'm just going to break this up off my face. And I'm trying to ignore my friends because they're in the group chat talking again. So, start right here. So, today it was interesting. I think somebody else was supposed to be back there with us, but they didn't show up. So they ended up putting the side heifer back there. And I was just like, child. Because I know good and well, I looked at the schedule and I was like, oh, I ain't got to see her all week. As long as everything stays operational back there, I'll be back there all week. Won't have to see her. She will be elsewhere, completely far away from me. Yay. And until her cousin is gone and, doing all that on his vacation, then I'm going to continue to see him. Tomorrow is his last day. So yeah. I'm doing the most. I'm overshooting. Y'all excuse me. So I was happy. Well, somebody didn't show up. The heifer ended up having to be back there today. And I was like, oh gosh. It wasn't anything like it was the other day. So thank goodness for that. So that ended up working out well. The side heifer was the breaker. So when it was time for her to come back from break and all this other stuff, she just would bypass me. Like, she'd just keep walking. And so I that was my cue to just be like, oh, well, let me just do what you normally do and just ignore your existence and just walk off. And then you could take my spot, walk over there and do what you need to do. So that's the way we played that game today. So she likes to play games. I played that game today. I ain't say hey bye nothing to her because it would have been a waste of my breath anyway. Because that's the kind of game she likes to play. She likes to waste your time. She likes to make you feel like, oh, well, you're gonna come crawling to me and you're gonna have to come say this to me. And I feel like she thinks she high and mighty for some reason. I'm like, girl, I ain't got time. So anyway, outside of that, it was still kind of a rough day, but it ain't had nothing to do with me. I had to fight. Me and my partner, we had to fight that stuff all day today. It didn't make no sense. Like, that area should be flawless. It should be running flawlessly by now. And it's literally getting worse. And it's like, how does something like that get worse? That makes no sense. But that's exactly what's going on. So yeah, y'all, I'm just like, child, don't nobody have time for this. So I just fought it. I did what I could. Been doing everything I can. Y'all excuse the little stuff that's hanging out. Because at this point, I'm just kind of like, I'm over it. I'm just like, whatever. I'm going to look somewhat presentable, I guess, child. They're going to get what they get. Somebody told me, oh, the other married guy who my friend was dealing with, so to speak, or whatever, he saw me. He don't even work on my shift. He saw me. And so he said something, because at first I looked at him sideways on purpose because he gets off on stuff like that. So I just like to disturb his nerves. So then he said something. So I was about to walk back by and I like to just look at you sideways. So that's what I did. So he said something and I said, what? So I couldn't hear him. So I rolled all the way up on him. So other people are witnessing this as well, right? So I said, what did you say? So he was like, Linda, your hair looks nice. And so I just looked at him. Look, what my glasses that I had on today. I just looked at him. I did just like this. And so then he was like, he basically like responded on my behalf as if like, hey, this is the way you respond, by saying, thank you, insert his name. And then I just continued to look at him like he was crazy. And he gets off on stuff like that. It is so funny to me. I know he gets off on it. It is hilarious. So I was like, yeah, I'm not giving you that. And I walked off. He started laughing. I'm like, yeah, I know you get off on it. And see, he might be related to my little yeah with the yeah, and ain't nobody got time. So that's another thing that has intrigued him. Because he was like, wait a minute, you be going there? What you know about this? What you know about that? Yeah, don't worry about all that. I ain't telling him none of my business like that. I ain't telling him that. I'm not telling him that person's name. The cousin gonna have to come out of nowhere and be like, hey, here go a picture of her. And he just so happened to be there to see the picture to know any of this information. So yeah, I'm just like, yeah, what we not finna do is that. So but yeah, he said my hair looks really nice. And I don't know, 99% of the time I give him responses that he don't want. Because I'm being playful. I'm just being silly. It is what it is. Every now and again, I shock him by saying thank you when he, does certain things that I ask him to do. Like, I'm like, normally when I tell him to do something, he do it. So it's kind of like, you better have. I'm not like that for real, but he know that and he live for that. So I'm like, yeah, you better have. Anyway, that happened and I was late. I was late today. And when I tell y'all I do not care, I knew I was late and I walked on purpose slow. And I was like, I don't care. I know what time it is. It was time for me to clock in at the absolute latest when I backed into the parking spot. I'm not running into this bit. It take me like 30 seconds to 1 minute to get from a parking spot into the building to clock in. And I'm just like, I just don't. I don't care, baby. I don't care nothing about it. I'm going to need for y'all to understand. I don't think y'all understand I don't care. I don't even care no more. I done got to the point where all that stuff, at this point, I don't even care about fighting the other occurrences that I have. And they were half occurrences. And I'm like, child, I don't care. Because the supervisor was like, no, I think you need to fight these. Da, 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 da. It was just a minute. And I'm like, okay. Like, I really felt like death. And like now, y'all, period is on. Yay. I mean, we already know, well, at least I know. I know I'm not pregnant, but still, yay, I guess. So, child, I need to drink me some tea so that I can lessen or all the way avoid the foolishness that might ensue because I don't want no parts of it. Y'all excuse me. I'm just trying to make sure I moisturize the hairs that are out. That's all I'm doing. I am using, for those who might want to know, the Moringa and Argan Oil Curl Popping Defining Cream. And this was the most recent hair product company that I had, that I've done a Black on Business Spotlight on, Nefertiti's Secrets. So yeah, that's what I'm using. So these hairs that are right here that are out, I've just been applying product. And if I don't just leave it like this, because you see, you see it. I know you see it. If I don't just leave it like that, which I typically don't, if I can't get it to clump where it's bigger like that, then I just do like this and finger coil it. And finger coil it. Yay. So that's what I'm doing right in this moment. Y'all, so anyway, I changed my shoes. Like, I took my time. I was like, I do not care. Y'all, so I'm walking to the back. And who come out the door? The so-called divorced man. So he saw me and he kind of smiled and then he, waved. And so I said to myself, should I continue to give him the side eye? Because one day I literally rolled my eye. I didn't think I would ever do that. Like, I don't really seriously roll my eyes at nobody. Normally, I playfully do something like that to somebody. I don't normally seriously do that to nobody. But one day I was so fed. When I tell y'all I was so fed up, I don't know what happened. But I was fed up and I rolled my eyes some terrible at that man. I couldn't believe I did all that. Because I typically don't do that. Like, I'm not one of those women that gets attitudes. That's why when anybody doesn't get their way and they naturally assume that I'm getting an attitude or I'm about to have an attitude or there must be an attitude afoot about to happen that's brewing, I'm just like, an attitude for what? I don't understand what I need to have an attitude for. A situation is just a situation that's happening. That's literally all that's going on. I don't have to necessarily be equated to someone who's going to get an attitude because of that. I don't always get my way. that don't mean that it's time for me to now have an attitude. That's why I don't understand when people are like, oh, they got an attitude. Oh, you gonna have an attitude. How you gonna tell me what I'm gonna have? So anyway, y'all, surprisingly enough, I actually waved back at him, but my face was not screwed up, so I did good. Now, I usually can tell if I'm screwing my face up because I know I rolled my eyes the last time I saw him. I rolled my eyes something terrible that day. Okay? So he took a chance and he spoke. Well, he didn't speak. He waved and smiled. And so I just waved back. I ain't smile. Ain't nothing to smile at you for. Nothing. So be glad and gracious that I even waved. So I was like, I quickly thought about it. I said, let me just wave because, oh gosh. So hopefully at some point he'll be man enough to ask me, why am I acting like this? Unless he already knows and he just don't want to talk about it because he know he did wrong. But I'm gonna straight up tell him, like, you played in my face. And I'm not gonna give you that opportunity again. Like, no, you're not gonna do that. Because I really sat up here and I told him that I thought about the possibility of me and my friend hanging out together because we're gonna be at certain functions together because he's cousins with her boyfriend. And I know other relatives of his that I've worked with and I'm cool with them and they cool people. So, you know what I'm saying? Him doing all that threw me for a loop because ever since he first started telling me how he felt about me, especially when he was still deep off in the marriage, saying he was going to get a divorce, I told him straight up, you need to get a roster, you need to find you somebody else. He had eventually gotten some side heifer if he hadn't already had her before I even mentioned a roster. So he had a side heifer, she moved and she wanted him to hand him some money. And he was like, I gotta pay my own bills. Da, da, da. He ain't trying to come up off no money like that unless it's at his own place. So I don't know if he cheap. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't care. It ain't my man. It ain't got nothing to do with me. But when he was with the wife, which I think he still is with her, he paid all the bills but like the light bill, and she was supposed to pay the light or the gas or whatever that bill was. So essentially he was paying almost all the bills. He was paying 98% of the bills, basically. Almost all the bills but one. So, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to say, I don't know if I should say never again, because you're going to have to work exceptionally hard for me to give you another chance after you done tried me, in a way where I'm going to believe that you have really learned your lesson and you ain't going to do this again. But it's like, I feel like he don't deserve a second chance, because why would you do that? You walked up to somebody who's never seen you a day in life, didn't know you like that, never knew your name, and you was like, "Hey, how you doing? You look like somebody that I'll have as a side piece. I'm married, but I'm gonna get divorced." Like, who just walks up to somebody and says that? And she had no knowledge of my relationship or whatever to and or with you. She had no idea of what we had going on. Because I was about to let my walls down. I was about to go public, so to speak, with the fact that, oh, we're dating now or whatever. Like, I was really opening up to that idea because he was being consistent in all this. So before he was doing all that, I really was like, maybe I should and I really was letting my walls down. So that's something that really highly pissed me off, because it's like, I already done healed from my ex. I told you I'm not interested in anything. I've been telling you for the longest. You sitting up here not even giving up and saying to yourself, I feel like we're supposed to be together. I feel like I'm supposed to be with you. I wasn't even supposed to marry her. He basically married the woman because she was pregnant and he didn't want her to be out here looking stupid. And I'm just like, the shotgun weddings got to stop. People got to stop doing that. Like, just because you married somebody that you got pregnant don't mean that y'all supposed to be together. Like, the baby is here. The baby survived. Obviously, the child's supposed to be here. The child is not the mistake. Y'all just being together is the mistake. The end. Anyway, y'all, I'll keep y'all updated because I don't know. Because I feel like if anything happens, it needs to be a very long, in-depth conversation. Because what were you on that day for you to approach her and say all of that? Because you had been told me months prior that you had gotten divorced. And he was very quick with the I'm not married, because I'm the type of person that I'm going to say something. I'm going to keep saying stuff. at the most random times to get you to slip up. And he was very consistent in saying, that's not my wife. I'm divorced. I got the divorce decree at the house. Told me he was going to show me the divorce decree and all this other stuff. I don't even know why this was the one time that I didn't request to see it after it supposedly had been, mailed to him or whatever. I don't know why I didn't request, because normally I'm like, oh, you got a divorce decree, let me see it, because I know what an authentic one looks like. Run me the divorce decree. Like, normally I am on top of that. I don't know what that was, because I feel like the reason why I was like, you know what, okay, I just automatically believed that the divorce was finalized and it happened because everything else prior to that, he had been telling me the truth. He told me about him having a side heifer. He told me about all these other things. Anytime I would suggest another woman, if she was attractive, he would say that she was attractive, but there were certain traits about them or personality flaws that he was not into, so it would not make for a good situation, even if it was just sexual. Like, he would not be interested in that because he's into the intellectual side of it all too, because we would have in-depth conversations, and he liked the way I thought. And to me, I don't be talking about nothing like that, but he was getting his entire life. And we really would sit on the phone sometimes and talk a good while. Then when we had to work together, we would talk all day. So that's 8 hours of talking, almost 8 hours of talking, not including our breaks. So we would really be sitting there talking, laughing. Then there were times we would get off work. We would walk hour and a half talking, venting about our day at work, talking about life. So it's like, come on now. So anyway, y'all, let me get off there. Like I said, I will keep y'all updated. I ignored the side heifer. Yeah. There's someone who's retiring next month, and she's one of the people who does the schedules. And so I went and saw that the schedule had some foolishness on it for Mother's Day. And so I was like, yeah, somebody need to change that ASAP because I ain't got time. Y'all excuse me. I'm over here just fiddling with this. That's what's going on right here. So, got her to change it, gave her the update on everything job-wise because she didn't know what happened. And I told her that I went up front and asked to figure out why I keep getting passed up. They said my interviews went well, and if my interviews are going well, why is it that I keep getting passed up? You don't have any negative feedback, but you don't have anything that you can give me for me to work on so that I know what I would need to do next time. And I'm just like, that don't make no sense to me. You're telling me everybody said my interviews went awesome. Why do I keep getting passed over then? That don't make sense to me. Y'all excuse me. I'm losing my voice. It's almost time for me to go somewhere and go to sleep. My food, I just had up here, my food probably cold as I don't know what. Been sitting here, I don't know how long. I finally got out of the car. I was so tired, y'all. Went and walked for like 45 minutes, probably 30. More so like 30 minutes today, y'all. I was tired. Period is on. I don't remember if I said at the beginning of this because I've done this video over I don't know how many times. So my period is definitely on. So I already was tired from working. I was literally running back and forth doing the most at work. Then I got off and I said, let me go over here. I didn't know how long we were going to walk for, but I was hoping for at least an hour. And then the woman that I was walking with, she said that she wanted to go and sit down for a minute. So I was like, okay. And we were literally where we were going to be near our vehicles. And we were sitting, and then they ended up seeing somebody that used to work where we work at. And then we went outside, and then it was kind of like, well, we went over to the side where he was. And it was kind of like, well, it's over with. Now, the other person who is basically retired, she wanted to walk more, but she wasn't going to be able to walk with nobody. Tomorrow, they're going to go early in the morning. I'm not going to be able to because, first of all, I'm going to get off. Hopefully, I'm not going to have to stay over because I'm supposed to be getting a part on my car replaced. Now, my sister messaged me a couple of days ago and was like, yeah, you need to go and see if you have Motor Trend warranty because you have too few miles on your car. And you probably can get that done for free. Now, the issue with that is that here, even before COVID, it takes forever for you to get in to get anything done. I tried to get, there was on my Crown Vic, when I had a Crown Vic, there was some kind of, light issue. Anybody who's ever had a Crown Vic before, I don't know if y'all ever had this issue, but I had an issue where at nighttime when my lights would pop on, I had it set where they would pop on once it got dark or whatever, or dark enough once, the sun started setting. Well, I would be out and it would be dark, like dark. I'm talking about pitch black outside. My lights would just cut off. And it just got to the point where I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't, like, it would cut off. There was something that they had to switch out on the car. And they ended up sending out a notice to everybody who owned certain vehicles from whatever year to whatever year. They fixed that issue. I didn't have an issue no more. And my daddy ended up doing something to my car so that in the event that it did cut off, I had to manually do something else so the lights would come back on. Y'all, and I mean, this would happen. I'd be like almost to the house. I'm like, don't nobody got time for this. Don't nobody have time. So yeah, I don't have time for that. Like now, like I'm not trying to stall out somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I don't have any family here. I don't have time for nothing to stall out nowhere. Once it start getting hot, I definitely ain't got time for that. I have been on the side of the road with my Crown Vic. It overheated. I ain't know what was going on. It was this part, y'all, it was this part on my car. It kept trying to test my gangster. And like, it put me down in the middle of rush hour traffic one day. I had to pull over to the side of the road and I was about to get on the interstate and head home. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I looked up because my friend's husband had just gotten home, but they lived like 45 minutes one way away. And he had just, like, the job that he was on at that particular time was right there, right where I was at. And she was like, well, yeah, he worked right there. Let me see where he is. And she kept trying to get him on the phone, trying to keep getting him on the phone. And I'm excited. I'm like, oh, he right up the street. Oh, okay, he can come get me. Or figure out what it is so I can move and go ahead and go to the house. By the time she got in touch with him, that man had made it to the house. But he came back out in the middle of rush hour traffic. He ended up taking me to Advanced Auto Parts or one of them places. O'Reilly, I forgot where it was, one of the places. Then we ended up going to Walmart because I had to go get some tools because he had left his tool. Like the truck that he had left his tools in that particular truck because he's like, he does stuff like that. He's really good at most of that stuff. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So we went to several places and like he did it free of charge. I tried to pay him. He would not let me pay him. And when I tell y'all, I could have cried down. I wouldn't have been no good. But I don't ever want to be stuck and just down somewhere like that again. But one of the things that happens with what's going on with my car that this sensor is going bad on is that it'll stall the car. And it started stalling. And I was just like, why did the engine light come back on? I had like little oil in my car because I had gotten it topped off like I had said I was going to start doing. Like, I don't need to do that. The type of oil that go in my car, I don't need to do that. I don't need nothing that's going to tab the engine, the transmission, or nothing else. So, come to find out, it popped back on the next day. And I was looking like, what is this? Maybe it's a different way that you have to reset it because at first it wasn't stalling out. So then it started stalling out and I was like, well, dang, why do that after the oil got topped off? So I'm thinking it's something dealing with like as soon as they put the oil in there, and I had some kind of filtration system situation that happened before. Child, it was a mess. So anyway, I said, I don't have time for this. Like, it really started stalling out a lot. And I think that was God telling me, go and get somebody to put it on a computer, as my daddy likes to call it. So somebody at one of the places not too far from where I live put it on their computer, and they told me what it was. And I called a place. They said the labor included would be like $150. I'm hoping that's what it is because at first I thought it was going to be like between $3 and $4, including labor, because the part itself don't cost but like $30, $40, $50. It ain't gonna take them but like 20, 30 minutes to put it on. Like, I really probably could do it myself, but I'm just scared that I'm gonna tear something up, even though I shouldn't be. So I just want it done, and I'm gonna get that done when I get off work in the morning. So I'm not gonna be able to walk with them. And for me, I'm gonna do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at least, and we can go the earliest on Mondays because I'll already be off. Anyway, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. I will give y'all updates on some other things. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. All right, y'all take care. Bye.